There are many implementation of router security best practices and many ways in enabling router security features. But what we're going to focus on in this whiteboard session is access control list or ACL in routers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add our simple topology. So we have a router here, and behind the router we have our network. This is just a simple LAN, maybe a single subnet, and we're also going to add our host. So let's say we have this host, this PC, right? And let's say this is 192.168.10.10. I'm going to add a server here, and the IP address of the server will be 192.168, let's say 10.11. And I'm gonna add another server with an IP address of 192.168.10.12. Okay, now I will also connect our router to the outside world. Let's say this is WAN or wide area network, and in our wide area network we have many different clients. Okay, so this client here, client 1, let's say this is client 2, and we have client 3, so client 3 and many other more. Now since we're going to talk about ACL, I'm going to add here access control list or ACL. Now what is ACL? Well, ACL is a feature of not only routers, actually is a feature of many other devices or even software that provides sets of rules. So you add a set of rules, okay? And there are many parameters in this set of rules, but the most important would be the action. The action is, well, it's very simple. We only have two actions: permit or deny. These are the only two actions in a router ACL. In other ACL, maybe more, but in routers or this specific router or specific model of router, we only have two actions. Again, permit and deny. Now, take note, there's also what we call implicit deny. Implicit deny. Think of these as the invisible deny all rule. We're going to talk about more of these as we go along. Now, this is ACL. We also need to know some of the parameters. So parameters that we're going to use are IP addresses. Okay, now when we say IP addresses, we can specify both the source and the destination IP address. So I'm going to add here source, or DST stands for destination. What else? I can also specify the protocol. And when we say protocol, these are the protocol that can be found in the IP header. Okay, so there's a field called protocol, and as a packet is sent via the network, you see values in this protocol field. It can be TCP, UDP, GRE, even ICMP. Okay, so these are the examples of protocol. What else? We can also add layer 7 ports. And when we say layer 7 ports, these are our applications. Okay, applications such as port 80, which is HTTP. What else? 443, 22, 23. These are Telnet and SSH. As you can see, all of these four examples are TCP based. You can also add UDP based, such as port 53, port 69, 161. These are DNS, TFTP, and SNMP. So these are just examples of many different layer 7 applications. Now, what I'm going to do is we're going to create now our ACL example. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add ACL. So I'm not going to specify the exact command syntax on how to create ACL, but what I'm going to do is I will talk about the command syntax of the permit rule. So I'm going to create an ACL, and we're going to name this HTTP underscore in. There you go. So this is the name. Now our rule will start with the action. Okay, I'm gonna start the action. So I will start with permit. Okay, it can be denied though, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use the action permit, and then I will also use the protocol next. So protocol, this is the protocol. It can be TCP, UDP, ICMP, etc. But what I'm gonna use is TCP. So I'm gonna permit TCP traffic, and we're going to specify the source. Now, it can be many sources. So this is the source, this is the source, and this is the source. So in this example, we only have 3 clients. We can have more clients, such as 100 clients or thousands of clients. I will do this. Instead of specifying the IP addresses of these clients, I can specify their network range, but the easier will be, instead of specifying the IP address or the range of IP address, I will just say any. Yes, any means all IP addresses. Next, the destination IP address. Now, what we want is to access this server. Okay, so this is our server, and it's listening on HTTP. So this is a web server listening on HTTP port 80. Okay, and what I'm gonna do is I will specify this IP address. So if it's just destined or sourcing to a single IP address, we need to use host followed by that particular IP address. So this is 192.168.10.11. There you go. So this is the destination. Next is I will add equal, because we're going to specify the port or layer 7 port. Okay, only specific to port 80. Now there are other options such as range, but we are again specific to port 80. Prior to that, let me just highlight that we already configured the IP address, both source and destination, and now we are specifying the protocol, or not protocol, the layer 7 ports, which is port 80. There you go. Let's have a little review. What we did is we created a rule, and then we add the action. Okay, again, this is the action, permit. And we also add the protocol. The protocol is TCP. So this is the protocol. And then the source IP address. This is the source IP address. And then this is the destination IP address. Okay. We add IP addresses on our rule as a parameter. And lastly, we added port 80. Okay, port 80, this is our layer 7 port, L7 port. Okay, so we created a rule. You can add as many rules as you want. Okay, you can add more permit rules, you can add more deny rules, it doesn't matter. Well, in this case, we still don't have a deny rule or an explicit deny rule. We have an implicit deny rule, however. But we want to make this ACL in action. How do we do it? Well, very easy. So we already have our ACL named HTTP in. This is not yet applied, and we're going to apply this to an interface. So let's say this is our interface. Let's name this interface as, let's say this is ETH1. This is ETH2. Okay, so our ACL is applied to ETH1 interface. Okay, and this is how it will work.